not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free with me.
Well, hey everybody, it's Erin from Erin Makes, and we are live at the Card Maker Success Summit. This is my live. I've been watching you guys leaving the comments. Well, everybody, not just guys and girls, leaving all the amazing comments. And thank you. I just like my head just go as I read all of them. And for everybody who has loved the tutorial and my class, thank you so much. All right. So I saw a couple people. So it's just I am always behind the scenes on all of the speakers. I'm the one running all the stuff. So I'm doing it for myself right now. So I am going to put up the first comments that I see. So if you see me looking this direction, it's because that's where my comments, that's where my screen is for comments. And I saw one. Where'd it go? It went away. Okay. I had to go back. Okay. It was something about having, oh, okay. Now I went too far. This is when I'm not behind the scenes. I can do all this stuff, and now I'm having to double duty and talk and all that kind of, all the crazy things at the same time. So if you have questions, please feel free to leave a comment. Okay, question. Here we go. On the second card, what are the measurements for the mats behind the panels? Oh, that's why they're written in the information worksheet. Let me flip to that spot real fast. Off the top of my head, I can get a measuring. Let's get a ruler out because I have the cards right here. So are you talking about the floral one right here? So let's take a look. I usually go down by either 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. So that's the general idea of where we got that. Okay, so this is the card you're referring to. The main section here, I'm having to do this. I don't like this ruler. Why did I grab my crappy ruler? Because I can't find my other ruler. Oh, there it is. It's hiding. All right, so the main dimensions of the first mat, so the craft paper that's on here, the main dimension of that is 2 inches. And then the inside mat of that is 1 7/8. All right. My head, sorry about that. And then this one is measuring to be 5 1/4. And the inside mat is measuring 5 1/8. And that's my head right in there. So sorry about that. Usually my camera's further away and I just moved it back. Okay. Oh, somebody's putting questions. Is somebody behind the scenes? Thanks, Brandy. Brandy's behind the scenes doing what I normally do. Okay, question. Do you recommend heavyweight cardstock for the fun fold card? Awesome question. All right. So as you can tell, for all the cards that I've done here, I have just been using whatever I had in my stash. So this is an old Basil cardstock. So yes, a heavier weight cardstock versus a lighter cardstock is absolutely preferable because it does make the folding easier, the tearing is less likely to happen. Here is another one. It was just a cardstock that I had in my stash. I can't even tell you what the blue one is. If I'm going to default to a white cardstock, I pulled this out because I always get asked this question about what to print on and all that stuff. This is the main base of the paper that I always use. It's called Exact Index Nina Cardstock 110. It's like 23 bucks on Amazon. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. And so this one is perfect. That card is upside down for that. So don't want to go with anything that's too hard to fold, but you don't want to go with anything too light either. So like a nice between level is about right. So anything that you would use for scrapbooking, I think is perfect for this, but nothing too thin. Hopefully that answered your question. Is there another one? Do you get another question up here? Looking through. Let me jump down to the bottom. All right. you got questions, let me know. So just also as a heads up, if you want to grab the freebie is basically to make this entire card yourself. So you get all the printables to make everything. All you have to do is add the cardstock to the background. So you can match whatever you like. You could do it in white, you can do it in the pinks, you can do it in the yellow, the blues. There's an orangey color in there, like a sherbet color. So you can have lots of fun with that. The free printable, head to my main page where you watch my video. Down at the bottom, it says click over and it takes you right to the website. There's a code. The code is mentioned on the website as well. I believe it's called kindness freebie or something like that. It's also mentioned in the video itself. As another plug, if you really, really loved this collection, my Butterfly Dreams collection, I have another freebie printable. Let me put it up here. This one is also on my website. So you can see the website scrolling across the bottom right along here. So if you want to see, this is another freebie printable, and I made some fun cards with these ones. There's another one, but I cut the center out of it. So this one's got the center out of it. And then you can print these out and you can just make all these really easy flat front cards. You just print out and stick to the front of your card. It's so simple. And so that's in the freebie section. All right, what are the basic tools you must have for beginners? Ooh, okay. So paper trimmer. I'm going to pull mine out too. So paper trimmer is a must. I think that's an absolute must when it comes to any kind of card making. You have to be able to trim your papers, cut your papers. And I also feel like it 100% double duties for a scoring tool. So if you get to that level, super, super simple, right? You need to have some sort of ruler so you can measure things out. There's a ruler that's built into your paper trimmers. Most paper trimmers have them. But I like having just a secondary ruler for measuring, especially if you're going to do separate folds or anything. If you're just going to do some standard flat front cards, you're not adding extra folds, ruler can be a good quality black ink, because you're probably going to want to do at some point. A stamp block, if you're not ready to invest into any of the stamping platforms, just a good old handy dandy stamp block is always awesome. Quality ink, and then your favorite stamps. I've been listening to all the speakers so far, and I think it was Ardith got asked the same question, and she said, you know, definitely go and take a look at the rest of like YouTube videos. What technique are you like, ooh, I want to try that. And then from that, then you can go, okay, well, what supplies did she use to do that? Or ask the question on the video, or he or she, ask the question on the video about what would be a good one. All right. Do you have any of these as SVG files? Not yet, but they are coming. I did not have them ready for this one, but yes, that is a secondary side collection that is coming to the Butterfly Dreams. There will be a cut file selection, and I'll let you guess what the files will be. It's pretty obvious what the cut files will be out of that one, but yeah, they're coming. Okay, what black ink do you recommend, and for which for alcohol markers versus non? All right, so there is a lot of different black inks out there, and just going to pull out a couple that I have. Truly, I have them like right on hand with me. There's one. I had another. It was right here. Maybe I put it back. So here, let me pull out the stash. So I have one from Simon Says Stamp that I use. I also utilize this. Used to have a scrapbook.com, but I cleaned it and it went away. So I lost the ink on there. There's another one I've been using lately. Oh, here it is. It's buried under my cards. These ones I have all used with, this is an IO ink. This is a hybrid ink pad. I've used these all with just regular stamping and coloring in, or just standard stamping. So if you're just wanting to stamp an image and you're not really worried about, let me see if I have one. I usually have cards hanging around. Well, it's just your stamp that you're not coloring in. I kind of use these interchangeably. I have also ink blended with this one as well if I want a black. So there you go. I've used them kind of all together. But yeah, this is the most recent one, so I feel like it's the freshest ink, so I've probably grabbed this one the most often, but I use these ones too, scrapbook.com and the Simon Says Stamp. These are their intense black, their dye inks, or for solvent or alcohol markers, it says on there. So it tells you, do not use any kind of watercolor or water-based ink for Copic markers. It's just not going to work. So, all right, I saw some other questions. How do we get it into a Cricut if it's not an SVG? You could, if you know all the back ways to turn these into SVG files to go into your Cricut. Some people are just, amending the files a little bit. I'm not going to give you all my trade secrets about how I do my stuff, but some people know some tweak ways, or it's just to cut out a circle or how to cut a shape or things. So there's lots of videos out there to do that though. Somebody's saying, which file for the Cricut, where can I get it? I'll let you two hash that out and figure that out. IO ink is great. It is awesome. I love the IO ink. It is great. I've been playing with that for about the last month or two, and it has been fantastic. So, and yes, Prickly Pear sells the ink. I wonder where I got it. Which, if you're here Saturday and watch my live stream, I'm getting all my prototypes just off right here. So it's getting all ready. Again, I'm looking over here to watch everybody's comments and see what everybody's saying. She has the sizes for each piece, just cut the square into each size. Oh, so she's just cutting the frames of each one. So if you're cutting out your papers, she's cutting instead of using a paper trimmer. Kathy, is that what you're meaning there? What we're kind of insinuating? I think that's where we're going with that. Is there any other questions you have? If not, I'll just keep on ranting and rolling and going on my merry way. So again, there is a secondary freebie. This is just one I put out there on my YouTube channel. Oh, there's one. I've never seen IO ink before. Where did I get it? Prickly Pear stamps. You can get that at Prickly Pear stamps. They're one of the sponsors of the Carpenter Summit. So I believe there are some links where it talks about the different sponsors for the event. There's a link there. And on Saturday, we'll be doing a demo. I'll be using this ink in action there with the Olo markers, which they sell the Olo markers as well. So we're going to be playing with that so you can see it, how it functions and how it works and how wonderfully crisp and clean it is. Again, this is also a newer pad. So that's also why it's primo right now, because new pads rock. They're just more intense because they're fully saturated with all the color. There are re-inkers available with that as well, but there is also some coupon codes that we're going to be releasing if they haven't been already. So what kind of printer do I use to print on my papers? Ooh, oh, we clicked at the same time. This is me trying to be me, and then Brandy's back there like, I got you, girl. So I have an Epson printer, and it's an inkjet printer that we have had. Ooh, I don't know. I've had it for a long time. I originally bought it because I wanted to print pictures, and I was doing a lot of scrapbooking, which I don't know. No, you can't see. It's over there. It's over there. But I have found it prints really great for all digital prints. So whenever I want to do any kind of print files, like you see on this one, it's really true to color from what I see on my screen. So, but any inkjet printer, and if you don't have a printer, you can always take your files to places like Kinko's doesn't exist anymore, but like Office Depot, you can send the files over and they can print it for you there at a pretty nominal price. I think I was answering this at the beginning of the chat, but what weight of cardstock do you recommend for this type of fold card? So I'm going to default to my white cardstock that I use. And I think anything equivalent in terms of a color would also be just fine. So this is what I use as the base for everything for myself. So I use this Nina white cardstock. I pulled this out because I always get asked this question. So I use 110-pound cardstock. I think it's perfect for a lot of stuff. And when you feel the weight of 110-pound paper, when you know what that weight feels like, that is great for any kind of fun fold card and for just card making in general, for die cutting it out, for fun folds, for doing markers, if you're doing Copics, if you're doing even light coloring, it works really well on that paper, specifically the Nina Index. But any of the other papers that are out there, once you kind of get a feel, okay, how thick is that? You feel other papers like, ooh, that feels about right. If it feels really thin, like copy paper, like printer paper, way too thin. Don't go with that. And there's some inexpensive pattern papers out there, or even cardstocks I would stay away from for fun folds. And even for die cutting, it just rips and tears and it's a big pain in the butt. All right. Do thick bases make a bulky card? Depends on if you are trying to mail the card or not. So I would not try to mail this card in a regular envelope. It would get smashed. This card, however, if you think about it, it doesn't really have that many more folds compared to a regular card that's just folded in half. It just has a little bit of extra layers, and if you add layers of stamps and then you die cut pieces out and maybe you add a little gem or like a little sequin or something on there, this card is no thicker than any of those. So it will just fine. Don't feel it adds to be too bulky. I personally don't. But everybody is different. So I can't say one way or the other about how you feel about it. So I would try it and see, like, is this too thick? I've sent cards this thick in the mail and not had to add any extra stamps. So what do we think of Memento Ink with alcohol markers? I have not tried that. So I cannot attest to how that works. The 3 I showed you are the 3 that I have and I have worked with, and I have a plethora. Well, they're hiding back here, but I have a plethora. I've got Spectrum Noirs, I've got Copic, I've got Olo markers. They've all worked just fine because they're all alcohol based. Even like the really cheapy ones, I've got some of them just because I play with. It depends on what I want to work with, what color ID. Some colors don't come in all varieties. So I've not tried the Memento, so I cannot tell you for sure how that works. Anybody else up here has played with those with alcohol markers? Guess who would be the best person to ask? Daniel would know. Somehow I think he would have the best answer for that. Have I tried the Blick markers? I have not. No. So I have played with Spectrum Noirs, which to me is a little iffy. Olo, I love the Olo. I love the double barrel. I love the amount of color that's in there. And I feel like you just get a lot more ink. Copics are fantastic too. I feel like those are like your top tier ones. The cheapy ones are great too, but they don't have as much ink, so they dry out a lot faster and you can't refill them. But I've not tried the Blick ones yet. So have you tried Stampin' Up blends? And I have, okay, yes, I've tried Arteza, but not Stampin' Up. Artezas, I feel like in the same line of you're going to get a lot of markers. You're not really a marker person on the video, but we're going to talk about markers. That's great. So this is the hot topic button today. So the Arteza markers are great because you're going to get a lot of markers. So I always tell people, if you're thinking about doing any kind of alcohol-based coloring, Copic coloring, whatever you want to call it, so you're wanting to get into the alcohol marker jam, start with some cheap markers, right? So there are some really cheap ones that you can get. I have it right here. So this is a set that is super cheap. They're called Art Beak. There's a few other brands. I want to say it's like 25 bucks, and let me show you all the different ones. Do we need to use watercolor paper with Copic markers? No, you don't want to use watercolor paper with Copic markers. So these really cheap ones here, again, you're getting all of these colors for like 25 bucks, right? There's a few of them. It looks pretty much like the regular markers. You got the 2 chips, the double, you got chisel tip, and you've got the little fine nib. And they're great if you're just learning and you're wanting to kind of delve in the idea of colors. You get a nice variety. And if it's a craft, if that's what you're loving to do, then take the next step up and start adding to this stash of markers with the higher quality ones. A couple at a time, a set at a time, add in the Olo markers. But if you're just brand new at it, I wouldn't go jumping in and buying the super expensive markers right off the bat, because this is just me because I'm a penny pincher. I'm going to waste money on something I may not like. So start with the more inexpensive ones. There are Arteza ones, these ones from Amazon, something like that, and then kind of work your way up. And then when these run out, then you can replace it with the similar color in the back. All right, which inks are archival quality? Pretty much all of them. So if you're looking at archival quality, unless you're going to buy some really, really cheap chalk inks, not so much, because they're kind of like the smeary quality. But any of the hybrid inks, the dye inks, the distressed inks, the oxides, they're all archival quality. In terms of, is it going to fade and get funky over time? They're all going to be just fine. Are you talking about next to your photos? Is it going to degrade your photos? In terms of scrapbooking, you just touching your photo is going to degrade your photo. So I think you'd be totally fine on any of that. When do you want to use water-based versus alcohol markers? Can you mix them on the same card? No, I would not personally mix them. They're different techniques. So if you're wanting to have a more watercolor look to your cards, and I have a whole set of Arteza watercolor markers, and I've got some Tombow watercolor markers, there's a whole different set of techniques you can do with those than what you can do with alcohol markers. I guess you could blend them if you wanted to, but to me, they're almost like saying, do you want to, I don't know, go play golf or go play tennis? Do you use a tennis ball while you're golfing? Not necessarily. You could, but you really don't do that. Do you have other fun-filled cards? Absolutely. Yes, I have a whole bunch of fun-filled card videos on my website. I even have a playlist. It's actually on my YouTube channel, is where all my videos are. So if you want to, you can get there through my website. Link to my information section is listed down below here. And then it's also in the info section. You can see links to go to my website. So there is a whole series We have a card making Wednesday series. It's every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central. We have new techniques, unfold, stenciling, coloring, watercolors, stamp techniques. I do something new every time. We do 3 to 4 cards, about an hour. We have a ton of fun. It's all live. So I'm answering questions just like we're doing now, and we're creating together. And then I also have a whole series just on fun folds. So you can watch a whole bunch of videos all about different fun folds. Some are long form edited videos, some are live videos, a little bit of smattering of it all. So is it okay to use pencil crayons? Why not? Absolutely. This is what I love about card making. Card making is a platform because it's so small. It's such a tiny little piece. It's a tiny little piece of artwork that you can play and do whatever you want. You can throw mixed media, you can throw all kinds of into that little tiny space and have so much fun with it. So it's cool. Man, that 30 minutes goes fast. we got about 5 more minutes to start wrapping up. All right. Is there any other questions we have? But yeah, okay. Can you use watercolor pencils or glitter pens on a dye-based or oxide stamped image? Sure. Yeah, I think absolutely. Absolutely. So I have stamped stuff, I've watercolored, that go in with like a little bit of a glitter after that, or having all kinds of fun. Have you tried Ink on 3 non-coloring? I have not, but I love the idea of it. So I've never played with any of the Ink on 3 stuff. I've watched videos, been like drooling over it. There's a limit to how many supplies I can have in my house, in my space. You should see my spare room, and then just it's overwhelming. Like, I've not tried every product under the sun, but I've seen it, and there are some amazing other card makers out there that have played with it. So you should ask them those questions. What was the name of those low-end markers? Art Beak. Art Beak. Let me grab them again. So, yeah, see, and if you don't like, I love that. If you don't like the outcome of what your card looks like, it's a card. It's no big deal. Start again. There's been many a times I've made prototypes for my videos, and I'm just like, oh, that was not the best one. So here it is, Art Beak. See? And it comes in a cute little case. There's 80 of them in there. It's a pretty good price for a really low, for like a starter set, is how I kind of usually call that. All right, I'll take a couple more questions if anybody's got them. Time for homemade chocolates. Man, I want some chocolates. How can you make a larger version of the 2 fun folds? So this is kind of how I think about it. This is how I come up with these things too sometimes. So if I took my card and I unfolded it and pretend I folded this right here in half, it would be a normal size card. Oops, I'm on the wrong side screen. Ah. Okay, so pretend I opened up this card, and if it was, when it was all folded, if I just did a standard card, this would be the fold right in the middle, right? So if you had a 5.5 by 7 or a 5 by 7 or a 6 by 6, pretend the fold is there and just play with your folds. Okay, well, whatever size fold I want to do here is the size fold I want to do there. It's just paper, so just play around with it. I do a lot of prototypes to find the right dimensions and go, yep, that size looks good. I like the size of these 2 panels. I like how big this panel looks. So I play around with the size dimensions before I do the video for a class or for a tutorial or for a live. And I've got score marks all over the place. So my best suggestion is to play. So size it up, find where your center is, and then you're playing with, where do you want to fold? Do I want to fold here? And sometimes it's just, don't even go on a measurement. Just go, okay, I like that fold there, and I like that fold there. Okay, that looks kind of cool. Oh, but what if I folded it here? And then pulled it back. There's all kinds of fun stuff. If that is not your jam to try and figure all that out, that's why I make videos for you guys, because I do all the hard work for you. It's the best part, because I have tons of fun. All right. Any other fun questions going on? All right. I think I said something about the printables. I think somebody just said the printables were cute. Thank you. All right. Don't really see any more questions, but just shouting out myself for a minute before we log off, because I think we're about ready to be done here in a few seconds. So you can catch me on my YouTube channel, Erin Reed Makes Card Making Wednesday. There's lots of short videos, all little short videos. I also do lots of live videos, and I don't just do card making. I do a lot of other fun stuff too. And then I have lots of freebies on my website beyond the one that you got from the Card Maker Summit. And if you're interested in other tools that I have, like the free, very similar concept, I have been a part of all the other past summits. So if you purchased the past summit, Brandy, you'll have to let me know if they're still available or what the thing is. But there's a class and there's a freebie, and it's still available. So if you buy the VIP pass from the past summits, they are there. So there's 3 other classes that I have done that all are kind of in the same vein of a fun fold or a tweak like that. That then you can create the card and also use all the supplies from your stash, which that is my goal, to help you guys use up your stash, but also show you like a new fun technique as well and not break the bank. Thank you, Arlene. You love my lives. All right. So I think we're going to wrap this up because I got to get ready for the next speaker to get on, and I got to take over my behind the scenes. So if you have any other questions that you have for me, I will be going back. I'll be looking on the YouTube channel, the link that came from the main page. So if there's any questions, leave a link there, shoot me an email, Erin@erinremakes.com. You can also leave there's a Ask Erin something on my website at the very bottom. Just scroll the bottom and it gives you a chance to, if you want to ask me a question or something like that, happy to answer any questions you might have. And thank you guys for joining me. So I'm going to end my broadcast and be ready because there is another speaker coming in about 30 minutes. Bye, everybody.